Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I know I haven't uploaded for a couple of days, but thank you for the support shown on my recent video that I last uploaded on the channel. Some great numbers on that, so thank you very much from you guys for the support towards the channel on that video. But in this video today, we are going to be talking about the recent news circulating around Newcastle United during this international break. I cannot wait for this international break to be over. It has been nice to take a little bit of a time out and have a bit of a break, as I have been non-stop so far this season, putting out content for you guys. So it has been nice to take a small step back and have a little bit of a break. But I am raring to go once this international break is over and put out more videos for you guys talking about, of course, everything Newcastle United on the channel. So make sure to hit a subscribe, like, and of course share the content around with your friends and family as well. So in this video today, like I say, we're going to talk about, of course, the recent news circulating around the team, and we're going to go straight into it. We're going to talk about, of course, the recent news that's come from the Mail, saying that Timo Werner, former Chelsea striker, of course, could be set for a shock return to the Premier League in January after RB Leipzig announced he will be allowed to leave the club in the winter window. Now, this is a player, if you've watched me videos over the years, of course, you will know that this is a player that I do look up to, a player that I do, of course, appreciate as well, as a forward, somebody that, of course, knows how to score goals as well, and he proved it at Chelsea. I will have the numbers up on screen for you to see it, how many goals he did score at Chelsea, which is absolutely amazing. Chelsea fans, of course, didn't appreciate him, unfortunately, for them. They didn't seem to, appreciate the style of player that he was. They were playing him out of position at times as well, and he was still getting numbers like that. So that shows you right there, what kind of player Timo Werner is, and he would absolutely fit perfectly in with the style of Eddie Howe as well. He just oozes the Eddie Howe style of play. He knows how to play that high intensity play. So that would give us another option up top, alongside the likes of Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak as well. And with the injury problems that we're having at the moment as well, that would really help boost us in that January transfer window, attacking the final legs of this season. But looking at other players that we're also being linked to, the Mail again for the Sporting Lisbon defender Osame Diomande, a player that, of course, again, I've bought him on Football Manager 2023, and he was just an absolutely fantastic player. Now, I know that's Football Manager, but the players are sort of along the same lines as they are in the game. That's pretty much the way they would play. If you see them play in real life, because Football Manager is that realistic. It's been used by so many managers over the years as a scouting system. Arsene Wenger, for one, used to use Championship Manager as a way of scouting talent to Arsenal. So looking at, this would be a fantastic signing. Osame Diomande, fantastic young talent as well. And of course, alongside the likes of other amazing defenders that are playing in the Portuguese league, like Antonio Silva as well. Another fantastic name that Newcastle have been linked to. So it's nice to see that we are being linked to these players. And of course, we will have every chance of getting these players as well, with the amount of money that we will have available to us in January, with about 160 million, I think it was, that was quoted to be being taken off the FFP come the January transfer window, not to mention the fact that we've also got that money coming in from sponsorships as well, of course, for the next season. So we could always spend ahead of that summer transfer window to allow ourselves to get a bit of a boost going forward. But some other players that we're also being linked with is the likes of Calvin Phillips at Manchester City. Man City, of course, wanting to move him on from their club. And it looks like, of course, there's an increasing press reports coming up with Calvin Phillips being linked to Newcastle on a loan move. But a lot of people are saying, where would he play in the team now? To be honest, if we did bring Calvin Phillips in on a loan deal, then I think he would play somewhere in the CDM role, to be honest. That would allow, like we've said on umpteen occasions on the channel, that would allow for the likes of Bruno to be able to push higher up the pitch, play more in an attacking role instead of a defensive role, of course. So that would be an option then if Calvin Phillips was to come in on loan from Man City. That would allow, of course, for Bruno to be able to play more of an attacking role in the team, and Calvin Phillips would come in and play more of the defensive role from the CDM role in the team. Another player that we are being linked with as of today, and we've been linked with quite a few times over the past few windows now since these owners have come in, and that is Ruben Neves. Somebody, of course, that was at Wolves before moving out to the Saudi League, to one of course, the clubs owned by PIF Al Halal, of course. And this is a one that the Premier League has caused quite a bit of controversy with as well, because a lot of clubs have kicked up a stink about this. It was being talked about that Newcastle could possibly loan Ruben Neves from Al Halal back to Newcastle, of course, with Al Hilal probably paying the wages for the player, or us paying half of the wages and then paying half the wages for the player. But of course, that was just news coming from the media. It wasn't ever officially confirmed by Newcastle United that we were looking at Ruben Neves. Now, of course, the source is coming out today from 90-minute football, so take it with a pinch of salt on that one, because they have been known to extend the reports a little bit and lie on reports a little bit as well. But there is reports coming out saying that we could be able to move on a permanent deal in January for Ruben Neves instead of a loan deal, if, of course, the loan deal was to be blocked on getting them in to the club. So we could actually move on a permanent deal for Ruben Neves to Newcastle United. Now, would I take Ruben Neves on a permanent deal? He is being linked to the likes of Arsenal. Arsenal are trying to bring him in on a permanent deal. There is a few other clubs in the Premier League as well. He's still only a young player, about 26 years old, I believe. So he's still got quite a bit of time left in the game, and still quite a bit left to give as well in the game. So it is an interesting one. I have, of course, liked what I've seen of him when he was playing at Wolves. He scores some fantastic goals. He can control the midfield as well. But then there is the point where, we're coming to a point where we see the likes of Calvin Phillips being linked with, Ruben Neves being linked with, in the midfield. Are we going to then become, oversaturated in that midfield area with the likes of Big Joe already at the club, Bruno at the club, Sandro Tonali when he comes back off of his ban, at the club. Then we've got the likes of Sean Longstaff in there as well. Not to mention the younger lads like Elliot Anderson, Lewis Miley. Are we going to then become slightly oversaturated in that midfield department? Obviously not all of the players that we are being linked to are going to join, but it is a little bit of a worry that we are going to oversaturate ourselves in that department, give Eddie Howe a headache, a good headache, but a headache on, of course, selecting players for lineups, because there's going to be so much talent there to choose from that it is going to be a bit of a hard one to try and figure out, who gets into the squad week in, week out. Obviously, it'd be purely down to how they perform in training, the performances week in, week out as well when it comes to a match day. But I do kind of feel a little bit that we would be oversaturated in that midfield department. I think what we need to be looking at in this January transfer window coming up, when we get to it, of course, is looking to bring in somebody in the attacking department that, of course, can compete for a place there. Doesn't mind playing off of the bench at times as well, because obviously we've got the likes of Callum Wilson who comes on off the bench at times, sometimes starts games. Isak as well sometimes starts the games or plays on the bench when Wilson starting the games. So, we definitely need to be looking at bringing in a striker that can score goals week in, week out forward, but can also sit on the bench at times as well when we want to play the likes of Callum Wilson or Alexander Isak. Obviously, Wilson is getting on in age as well, so he more than likely won't be with the club for that much longer. Hopefully, Swift will for quite a while longer because he is a good player, but he is aging, and we are starting to see, that he might not be able to keep that pace in the coming seasons ahead. We've seen it with the likes of Trippier as well. Trippier is on the aging side. He's still the best right back in the world right now, in my opinion. But we have seen, that he is starting to feel a little bit tired in games as well, because there has been quite a few games this season already. But we already have that area covered in the team with the likes of Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall as well. Then, of course, I'm sure we'll bring in another right back down the line and some of our full backs down the line as well. But the main focus right now, I think we need to be looking at bringing in somebody that is a prolific goal scorer up top, can get in behind that defensive teams and, get where a goal every game we play. And then also look into that midfield for to show up a few areas, but not oversaturate ourselves in there. Also look at bringing in a centre back to, of course, show up that role. We've got Sven Botman, but we also need to bring in somebody is a long-term replacement down the line for the likes of Fabian Shaw, and also a player that can come in as well is a long-term replacement down the line for the likes of Jamal Lascelles as well. Definitely need to be looking at that. The goalkeeping department, I think, at the moment is, perfectly fine. I'm sure Nicky Pope will do absolutely fine there for at the time being. Obviously, that is an area that we're going to need to address down the line. But of course, at this moment in time, in the goalkeeping department, we've got Nicky Pope, we've got Laureus, we've got Martin Dubravka, so we're pretty much covered for goalkeepers at the moment. I think we're got pretty good cover in that area. But the main focal point right now is getting in some cover in that midfield, getting some cover on the wings as well for the likes of Almiron Murphy. Also, that striking position, like I've mentioned. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. There has been some announcements as well for new train strike for December. This will affect fans for the games at home to, of course, Man United and away to Everton on the 2nd of December. The East Midlands LNER, and on the 7th of December, Cross Country GWR, of course, and the 8th of December, the Northern/Trans Pennine for the 8th of December. So all of them dates will be affected by new train strikes. Again, it's just what we seem to be seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of people just striking right, left, and centre. At the moment, right now in the northeast, you can't get a bus with Go Northeast because they are having a strike. So hopefully this striking comes to an end and everybody gets what they are after. Because it affects us fans, who want to travel to games, and it's just one of them things where hopefully it does come to a conclusion, and of course everybody gets what they are striking for and gets their reward what they want. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Oh well, lads.